What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So today we're going to look at one of the most important documents in American history, and that is the Declaration of Independence, the reason why we have fireworks on the 4th of July. All right, so when we look at the Declaration of Independence, you're going to create a foldable. Take your paper, fold it in half like this, and then what you're going to do is you're going to make 5 flaps. 5 flaps, because there are 5 sections of the Declaration of Independence. Today, we're going to look at all 5 of them. All right, so inside your foldable, you will take notes as we go through each of the 5 sections of the Declaration. Beginning with section number 1. Section number 1 is the introduction to the Declaration of Independence. It explains why. It explains what the colonists wanted and why they are going to separate from Britain. It is known as the preamble. It is known as the preamble. All right? When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth that separate an equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impelled them to the separation. The preamble to the Declaration of Independence, again, explains why the colonies want to obtain or gain their independence from Great Britain. Section 2 of the Declaration of Independence is where we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they all deserve rights and this and that and the third. The governments, it says that governments are formed to protect the rights of the people, and they did not feel that the monarchy, which was run by King George, was protecting them. And they believed that if the government ignored the rights of people, then a new government could be created. Then a new government could come about, could sweep in and take over. These are ideas from the Enlightenment. These are ideas from the Enlightenment time period, where these great philosophers and thinkers come to the belief that a government is in place to look out for its people. And if it is not looking out for its people, then they should overthrow it and create and set up a new government. And so the second section of the Declaration of Independence explains that all men are created equal, all people have access to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and England was holding those down and keeping those rights from the colonies. And so by gaining their independence and setting up their new government, they are going to be able to get these things. Continuing with section 2, establish the idea that all men are created equal. Well, we know the colonies did not actually believe that. Not all men were created equal. No. All white men were created equal. No. That's not true. All rich white men are created equal. And those rich white men that are created equal have certain unalienable rights. Rights that cannot be taken away, rights that are given to them at birth: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And again, we know that the fathers of the Declaration of Independence, the writers of the Declaration of Independence, didn't really mean all men. And this idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness comes from these Enlightenment thinkers. And the Enlightenment thinkers actually said that all men deserve the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. Thomas Jefferson says, no. Not every man deserves the right to property. How much property one owns is how we separate who is rich and who is poor. Those that don't own property are poor and therefore are in debt to the rich. So we can't say that all men deserve the right to property. And we don't really mean all men. Again, just the white men. And the women, no, definitely not. Yet women don't get these rights, not for a very, very, very long time. I didn't say it. Blame the writers of the Declaration of Independence. Section 3 of the Declaration is it's fairly long. It's a fairly long portion. It lists all of the problems that the colonies had with King George. And it explains they were upset. They were upset with his actions. They called him a tyrant. He wasn't ruling the way he was supposed to. And within these 27 grievances are things that we have talked about. 27 reasons why the colonists, or 27 problems the colonists had with King George and England. It changed how the colonies governed. King George said the colonies had to govern different after the Boston Tea Party. It closes down the legislators that the colonies had set up to run their own colonies, and King George shuts those down. That's one of 27. They were upset that they had to quarter troops in their homes. Remember, this is when the soldiers are coming over, and King George said, if you have a house, you have to allow my British soldier to stay at your home if they need a place to stay. And so that was one of the 27. No laws to help the colonies. Again, the Proclamation of 1763, the colonies believed that this was holding them back. It wasn't helping them get better. It wasn't helping them get bigger and make more money. It was a law designed to hold them back and keep them from being able to do so. They were upset about taxation without representation. All of those taxes we talked about, sugar tax, stamp tax, Townsend Acts, all of these different taxes, Tea Act, all of these taxes that were placed on them. And again, the colonies just wanted to be represented in government and have a say. King George wasn't going to let that happen. So that's one of the 27. Wouldn't allow them to trade with other countries. They were only allowed to trade with Great Britain. Again, this is limiting the economic possibilities for the colonies. And the colonies want to grow and develop and to be one of those big major players, one of those superpowers in the world, like all of those big countries in Europe. But if they can only trade with Great Britain, then they don't have the ability to do that. They were upset about the fact that there were no jury trials. There was nobody. They weren't tried in front of a jury of their peers. They were put on trial and convicted by the judge who was biased. It was always a British judge, and taken back to Britain and put on trial there. He arrested people in Boston after the Tea Party. After people broke curfew, they were arrested, sent to Britain, put on trial. And so they argue and they want jury trials from people of their peers, people that they live around, people that know both sides. They felt they weren't being protected from their enemies. Native American Indian raids are taking place all throughout the Ohio River Valley, and King George refuses to do anything about it. Says that, no, you guys have to defend this on your own. You guys have to take care of it. We're tired of sending troops over there to defend you. And so the colonies are like, well, if you're not defending us, then what are you even really doing? And then another one of the grievances is that they go a step further. Not only did you not protect us, you declared war on us. You declared war on your own people. When you invaded Lexington and Concord and killed colonists in the process. That's not all 27, but those are the big ones. Those are some of the ones we've already talked about. But we're going to move on to Section 4. Section 4 of the Declaration of Independence points out that King George ignored the colonists. You ignored us. We told you we didn't want to fight. We told you that we were willing to remain under British control. We sent the olive branch petition, with the olive branch being a metaphor for peace. We didn't want to fight. We didn't want to go to war. You ignored it. You didn't listen to what we said. You proved that what we had to say didn't matter and that we were not equal in your eyes. Section 5 of the Declaration of Independence was the actual section in which the colonies declare their independence. This is when they decide they are going to be independent. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought, to be free and independent states, and for the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Section 5 is when they say, yeah, we're done. And the Declaration of Independence is, in this way, the most famous breakup letter of all time. We're done. It's over. We don't feel that you think we're equal. These are all the problems we had in our relationship. And then I gave you an opportunity to fix it. You didn't want to fix those problems. You didn't care about my feelings. We're done. The Declaration of Independence is the greatest breakup letter, most famous breakup letter of all time. It's when the colonies are like, we're done with you. It's not me, it's you. We're over. We're done. We've tried this multiple times. This isn't going to work. Great Britain's that like crazy stalker is like, not so fast. I'm not just going to let you break up with me like that. We go and we fight a war. Now, what you're going to do is you are actually going to read the Declaration of Independence. There are some reading questions that go along with it. It's broken down into sections. You're going to see and analyze this document a little bit more. I'm also going to post a video of the Declaration of Independence being read so that you can hear it being read along while you are reading it yourself. But be sure to check Canvas for the reading those questions. If you have any questions, reach out to me. And as always, have a great day.